Good morning, my new friend. My name is, well, I'm known professionally as the Fat Man, and I am the, for lack of a better term, the product manager, the program director, operations manager, general manager, morning show host here at 92.3 The Depot. And this is the debut edition of a show that we are going to call Depot Discussions. And at the same time, on Sundays, we will be sitting down with politicians, leaders of nonprofit organizations, event organizers, local business leaders, folks like that, and we will be discussing the ongoings that over which they hold some sway, some aegis, if you will. And it's just our way, as you know, here at the Depot, you probably know by now, that this is a truly local radio station. Nothing we do on this radio station is syndicated or piped in from somewhere else. Absolutely nothing. Everything is original. All the folks who work here live in the Arklatex. So it is truly a local radio station in every essence of the word local. And this is the debut edition, and I appreciate you being with us. Now, our first guest, full disclosure, he works for us. His name is Preston Taylor. Nickname is the Professor for me, and to be perfectly honest with you, I don't know if he likes it or not, but I do it anyway. But Preston came to us a few months ago, was intrigued by the sound of the radio station, has been active in many, many events throughout East Texas over the past several years, and again, he works for us in our marketing department and works on some of our electronic stuff and social media and things of that nature. But he also organizes a big old event that takes place in Jefferson in October. Good morning, Preston, and welcome to and thank you for being the first guest on Depot Discussions, my friend.
That's exciting. Thank you for kicking this off with me.
Sure.
I appreciate it.
Now, the name of your event is Texas Sounds International, correct?
Texas Sounds International Country Music Awards.
Now, with that in mind, does the name mean Texas Sounds International, or does it have to do with the sound, or is it both?
It's a gimmick.
Okay.
It's a gimmick because there's a myth in the world that every country music performer wants to perform in Texas. The myth is that all country music started in Texas, and we don't do anything
to dispel the myth.
No. Texas is the source of so much of it. What we do is we bring international performers, in some cases very famous international performers in other countries, here to Jefferson, Texas, and they perform and compete during that performance doing American-style country music. So it sounds like Texas.
Texas Sounds
Correct.
International.
Absolutely.
Or Texas Sounds International.
Texas Sounds have been exported all over the world. You would be amazed at how big Texas-style music is in Iceland or South Africa or Great Britain or Spain or literally the Czech Republic, anywhere in the world.
And this event over which you hold sway, that you organize, this is your project?
I believe I had the initial idea. We have a board of directors. It's actually produced by East Texas Performing Arts, a nonprofit performing arts company that does plays and concerts, and this is our huge event each year.
And last year, in October, it was taking place just as we came on the air in October of 2020, and it was for obvious reasons with COVID and all that, a little bit different, correct?
It was condensed, yes. We did bring in a couple of international performers who were currently living in Nashville. Nashville was closed down. They were happy to travel and get just to be able to sing. So we had folks from Austria and Switzerland. We then had 15 or 16 acts who sent in dedicated videos for us. And we projected that on what is literally our big screen. It's about 15 feet wide. It feels like you're in a drive-in movie. And that was better received than I would have expected. The audience loved it.
Well, I remember being intrigued by it because I read in the paper and heard about the event. So what happens is, as you've mentioned, international artists travel to Jefferson just to play in this particular event?
Just to play in this event, and they fund their own travel. They come here with the expectation of possibly going home with a metal plaque that is our award. And the interesting thing is, in many other nations, that plaque is enough to parlay an entire career on, or at least enhance their existing career.
So they go back to their native land, if you will, and they say, look, we won this award in Texas.
In Texas.
Which means we're pretty damn good. Is that the crux of it?
And we have Texas performers competing as well. So they can say, I won this in Texas, competing against Texas musicians. And we hand out a handful of awards. We would like as many people as possible to have an award without cheapening its reputation. So there are folks that end up going halfway around the world to go home and not have an award in their pocket.
So where did this, Preston, we're speaking with Preston Taylor, the organizer of Texas Sounds International, which takes place in Jefferson in October. So what was the genesis of the idea? Where did it come from? You're sitting around drinking wine or some beer or something one day with some buddies? Well, where in the world did you come up with the idea? Did you in fact come up with the idea?
Yes.
Okay.
The then tourism director of Jefferson, Texas, said, we have nothing happening in this particular month. What are you going to do? And we had an idea to do a theater and music festival. And we're looking for a band that people might pay a moderate concert price to come and listen to. And looking online, I found a band called East Texas. And they advertised, we do rockabilly and western swing, and we're from the deep south. The deep south of Australia, Adelaide, Australia. Despite that, I wrote them this ridiculous email with half a dozen reasons why they should come and play for us. And son of a gun, after 2 or 3 conversations, if they didn't decide to come from Australia to Jefferson, Texas, and play. Well, once they agreed to that, we began to wonder, well, how many other international folks might want to come? And asked them, why would you come from Australia? And they said, I also asked them, where did they get the name East Texas when they're in Australia? And they said, well, country music started in East Texas. All country music, western swing, boogie woogie, everything. Wasn't Johnny Cash from Texas? Well, no, he wasn't. But the music
born
resonates
in Arkansas,
there.
by the way.
Yes.
Okay.
And we started wondering how many other international folks would come. The next person that signed up was Karen Lee Batten from British Columbia, who had been the CMA female vocalist in British Columbia for like 6 years. And she came and performed for us. And it grew from that. And it serves the event serves so many purposes. One, it supports East Texas performing arts. And 2, it supports the community of Jefferson and the region of East Texas. And 3, it's a wonderful outlet for these musicians.
So that's where the idea came from. This band from Australia named East Texas says, we'd love to come play.
Absolutely. And the name Texas Sounds was either my daughter's or my wife's idea. It certainly wasn't mine. The platform for the performance might have been mine, but the name came from family members.
So that's lost to antiquity now?
As whose idea it was, yes, I'm afraid it's faded.
Okay.
Either one can claim credit as far as I'm concerned.
We're speaking with Preston Taylor, who is the founder and the producer, if you will, of Texas Sounds International, which takes place in October in Jefferson, featuring international artists playing American-style country music. This thing obviously has several benefits, not only for the performers who come over here, not only for those of us who might be interested in hearing foreign artists play American-style country music, but also for the city of Jefferson itself. And I can only assume that they're very supportive of your efforts over the past several years.
They are, they have been, and more each year. We bring between 100 and 200 international guests to the event. Most of them stay 4 to 6 nights in town, and the town just welcomes them, just envelops them. It's a chance to interact with artists, international artists, on just a casual basis. You'll see them in restaurants. You'll see them in stores. They're around town all day. A local Marshall business sees them all the time. Boot Barn. Our country musicians buy thousands of dollars in Western clothing.
Right, while they're here.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it benefits every business in the area. And we're proud, just so happy and proud to be part of it.
So walk me through what happens. The show opens when, and when does it close? And walk me through what. Let's say I decide that. Let's say here I am in Marshall, and I want to go check out Texas Sounds International over a few day period. Walk me through the whole string of events.
We center it on the third weekend in October. We start Thursday evening at 5:00, and there are competitive performances Thursday evening, Friday evening, and Saturday evening that run until 10 or 11 at night. So your entertainment dollar is extremely well spent when each night costs you only $15. That has to be the best entertainment bargain anywhere. When you figure that most local bars will charge you $10 for a cover fee for any band, these folks that are performing, you may not have heard of them, but they are famous in one or several nations. And so come Thursday night, listen to one group of musicians. Come Friday night, it's an entirely different show. Saturday, again, an entirely different show. And then Sunday, we start in the afternoon with our awards ceremonies.
Is there an audition process for the bands to be chosen to come over here to begin with? In other words, if they already won a bit of a competition before they come to the festival?
We try our best to make reputation and celebrity a very small part of the selection process. We find them online or they apply to us to be here. Our selection committee listens to their music electronically, online, and decides who best fits the show, who is the best performer. The judging is rather brutal, actually. It's a 30-minute set that each of them does, and they're judged solely on that set. It's not how many fans they have or how many records they've sold. It's how much they engaged us in person on our stage.
Now, when we talk about the Thursday, Friday, and Saturday shows, and you mentioned that they're all different, do you lump them? In other words, is the first night like themed, and the second night a different theme, and the third night a still different theme or style of music, or is it just basically a little bit random?
We try to create a complete show each night. There will be balladeers, soloists, there will be full bands, there will be country blues, there will be country rock. We try to give that sampling each night.
Okay, so it's, for lack of a better term, to use radio parlance, real music variety each night, not just banjos on Thursday and steel guitar on Friday. And
absolutely not.
Okay.
And banjos and steel guitar, although they're part of the show, they're not the crux of it.
Right.
Country and bluegrass, of course, are two entirely different
Right.
things. We might include a bluegrass band once in a while
Right.
if they really grab our attention. We also might include a blues band once in a while. Again, if there's a country facet to their performance and if they're really good.
We're speaking with Preston Taylor from Texas Sounds International, who joins us for the debut edition this morning of Depot Discussions. So have you, obviously here it is, mid-April, and I'm getting ahead of myself, but how goes the plans for the upcoming festival in October?
Quite well. Of course, we have worries about international travel. It's possible that some of our folks will not be able to get here, but we work on this year-round. We start promoting 2021 before the 2020 show began. I currently have 24 acts booked, and I expect that to expand to over 30. And then we'll worry about places like Australia, whose international travel is not expected to open until October, and South Africa, that's having such a tough time. But we have a South African performer who says she will be here. She has dual citizenship with Portugal, and she says, I can fly to Portugal And from there, I can fly to the U.S. And if I have to do a quarantine on each end, I'm doing it because I'm coming.
So there seems to be a certain passion level for this event from those international artists who participate, right?
Oh, and surprisingly so. It bowls us over every year. These folks come on their own dime. They perform for 30 minutes. They stay in town for several days, and they want to come back. We have performers. In fact, we had to institute a rule that they can only perform 2 consecutive years. Then they have to take a hiatus. And we have performers who have come back for the 3rd year after the year off. They love the event because it is so personal, so incredibly competitive. It's not a popularity contest. And there is a passion. We've captured something that's a little bigger than what we expected. There's a worldwide interest. Max Tyler from Spain has been here twice, and he told us the last time, of course, any musician would want to come. There's nothing like it in the world.
So do you believe that they're in it for the competition or just for the experience and the cultural experience that they get as a result of the travel, as a result of meeting the folks from Texas that go to the event? What do you suppose is the biggest takeaway from the artists who perform in your event?
There has to be some of both, but initially it's the recognition they hope to glean from the award. The fact that East Texas then invites them, envelops them, welcomes them, that's, I think, a big part of why they want to come back, is it's a great experience. And, all of us enjoy international travel, so there's some of that initially, too. But the fact that they might take home a Texas award is their big draw.
We're speaking with Preston Taylor, who is the founder and organizer of Texas Sounds International. Now, you were mentioning the judging process. From where do you draw your judges' pool, if you will?
The pool is different every year so that no one can accumulate favorites, acquire favorites of any kind. We try to have people from the music industry, everything from radio DJs to songwriters to over-the-hill performers, folks in my age bracket.
Seasoned
yes.
Performers, yes.
Seasoned and experienced.
I've been described as a seasoned broadcaster, so... Which I thought, okay, that means I'm old.
Well, maybe it means we're spicy.
Sure.
But it's usually a panel of 6 to 8 people. We ask them not to converse with each other about the performances, and the judging is tallied late Saturday night and early Sunday morning so that we have a result Sunday afternoon.
So does that do they meet at local restaurants and watering holes and such to discuss the performers and tally the votes, if you will?
We police them well enough to make sure they don't do that. We don't want a consensus. We want individual perceptions and evaluation. So after the show on Saturday night, usually in the venue, they sit and they finish up their paperwork, and we collect it from them. And then the board tallies it, and the results are pretty much secret until the next day.
You've kind of touched on this with regard to travel. And I know last year, insofar as the number of people who show up and how you presented the event, we can perhaps put a line through that, hopefully put a line through it and say this is atypical.
Absolutely.
We hope and keep our fingers crossed that it's atypical, but and you've kind of touched on it already a little bit in our presentation here this morning. How worried are you about the restrictions and the possibility that it might be altered similar to the way it was last year again?
I'm worried. I have to be. To be realistic, I have to be worried. But I'm confident that we will have a live show. I can count a good number of people who are definitely going to make it here. A couple who are already here. That's another advantage we have. We're a few hours from Nashville. International performers migrate to Nashville knowing that the business of recording is in Nashville, but they believe the heart of country music is in Texas. So we can pull from Nashville if we have to. But we have commitments from people who are already fairly confident that they can travel.
That they can get here?
Yes.
Okay. Let's get back to judging. You said you have a pool of 6 to 8 judges. The criteria on which you judge the performers, what is that?
We leave the judges free to form their own opinions, but we hand them paperwork that divides the scoring process by category. Audience engagement, vocal range, instrumentation. I can't even remember all the categories, but they use those categories to note and pick out who their favorite overall artists were. And the fact that we award a dozen awards when there are usually only 30 acts, means that everyone has a good shot at taking home an award.
We're talking with Preston, live radio, phone ringing. We're speaking with Preston Taylor from Texas Sounds International, an event, again, that takes place in October. Logistically, there in Jefferson, where does it take place? How many stages are there? What can I expect if I show up, walk in, and attend the show as I've paid for my ticket? What am I going to see and hear?
We work some magic. We take an open space. There's a lot that doesn't face the street. It's enclosed by alleyways and buildings. We put a circus-style tent, 100 by 60 tent in there. We bring a professional lights and sound production company in, build the stage, start from the blacktop on up, and build a production that's really quite impressive with lighting and professional sound. These performers are going to get a chance to be on what feels like a big stage and a big venue, and with a very accepting and welcoming audience too. We have enthusiastic music audiences in Texas.
That brings me to my next point, and when we talked about the criteria, this is not a loudness from the fans. The louder you are, the more opportunity you have to win, because I would think intrinsically that people could bring in ringers in their own crowd if they wanted to. So crowd response,
but it might be expensive to bring people internationally for your own.
I understand that. Well, it depends on how badly you want to win an award.
One facet out of a dozen or so is audience engagement.
Engagement, okay. As opposed to decibels?
As opposed to decibels.
Okay.
How interested was the audience? How appreciative were they?
How did the camaraderie go between the artist and the crowd?
Absolutely.
Right.
Any performer knows that it's more than just singing the song. It's engaging the audience. And that's a talent. That's another facet of the overall performance talent. We have performers cringe at how cutthroat the situation is. They have 20 to 30 minutes to show everything they have. And so the audience gets the best of what they've got, and the judges judge on that.
30 minutes per performer. You've got 24 acts signed so far, so we're looking at a full slate of entertainment for all Thursday, Friday, and Saturday night already. Is it safe to assume that?
Very
Pretty
close.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're speaking with Preston Taylor, who is the organizer of Texas Sounds International, which takes place in Jefferson in October. And let me ask you this, Professor, and that's what I call him. I mentioned that at the top of the show. He works for us. That's my nickname for him. Every significant person in my life has a nickname. His is Professor. So Professor, I had a mentor of mine who recently passed away. He died the day the music died, on February 3rd. And he told my son, whatever you do, once you graduate from college, travel the world. And we're just not, he's not, I'm not, family's not in a position where we can just put him on an airplane, send him around the world for a month or two to see what there is to see. I'm going to assume that if I want to engage with these artists who show up at your event, that this is going to be a cultural experience for me. Is that something that's safe for me to assume?
Yes, it's a chance to bring the world into the community. And they're going to be at the restaurants and the bars. They'll be hanging out. Even after the show, the tent never empties completely. People are in there talking and enjoying each other's company, getting to know each other. Collaborations occur. We've had international groups get together and jointly track a song and have it produced in Nashville. But there's a chance for you and your neighbors to get to know people from 20 different nations and see what their impression of Jefferson is.
Back to the venue itself, acoustically, because I've been part of various festivals and events over the years. I know artists really get kind of anal and get wigged out when it comes to the acoustics of the room. So what are we looking at acoustically, insofar as the setup is concerned there in Jefferson?
A very focused tuning of the room. The stage has a 14-foot high backdrop to it to direct things where we want it. There are sound buffers throughout the tent. In fact, we use international flags to help with that. The flags lined up along the sides help absorb the unwanted reverb. And I have to give a shout out to Forsyth Productions. Extremely professional. Brings in all the equipment he could possibly need, spends an entire day tuning the sound even before sound checks and rehearsals. As the room fills, he changes the basic settings so that the human absorption in the room doesn't cancel out the fidelity of the sound. In fact, our only sound problem is when people get too enthusiastic. The audience can be the problem, but the sound coming off the stage, out of the main speakers, is good enough so that if you're taking a video with your telephone, your little cell phone, it'll sound good. The fidelity is fantastic.
So we have at least 24 performers signed up. It's going to be happening in Jefferson in October. And let's say I want to attend. Where in the world can I get tickets?
Get advance tickets. Now, you can get tickets at the gate, but you can go right now to texassounds.org. Of course, all one word, texassounds.org. And there's a link there for tickets. And like I said, tickets are only $15 a night. It's a great bargain.
Can I get a 3-day pass, an all-day pass? Is that available?
The only option we have is a VIP all-access ticket for $100. And that gets you into the champagne reception prior to the awards ceremony, gets you preferred seating. And the main thing it does is it allows a few really dedicated audience members to support us financially.
How many folks do you, in the past, attend the event? Has it grown every year?
It has grown every year. In fact, the first few years we doubled our audience each year. And that sounds impressive until I mentioned that we started with about 25 people.
17 people, right?
Yes.
Right.
2019, we were well over 200 people on Thursday night.
Okay.
By Saturday, it was 500 or 600 people. The tent's big enough to where even that doesn't feel crowded. It's a nice, lively space with plenty of room.
What would you expect? What would you, I don't mean expect, what would you estimate the economic impact for the city of Marshall to be as a result of Texas Sounds International?
Let me give you two answers because I'd like to include Jefferson. Jefferson is where it happens, so they spend more time in Jefferson, the performers do. And we survey all of our performers, all of our audience members very closely. We're adamant about wanting to get answers. In 2019, there was over $100,000 spent by our people in Jefferson and $35,000 in Marshall. Some of that was lodging, some of that was specialty stores like Boot Barn, right, and a few restaurants. So it's growing. As our audience grows, as our participation grows, it'll spread further.
So when does it take place this year? Give me the dates.
October 14th through 17th. 14th, 15th, 16th, that's Thursday, Friday, Saturday are the competitive performances. 17th afternoon is the awards ceremony. And there's more music on Sunday, the 17th as well, because the major award winners do a little encore for us.
And do you have a website, a Facebook page where people can go if they'd like more information about Texas Sounds International?
Facebook, Texas Sounds. It'll come up. If you want to type out Texas Sounds International Country Music Awards, of course, it'll be the only result. And our website is texassounds.org.
TexasSounds.org. Now, while you're here, Professor Preston Taylor from Texas Sounds International, is there anything about your event that you would like to add?
If I could just express enthusiasm, I would. It's putting it together is a labor of love. Our board is so dedicated to this, knowing that it will grow, and frankly, being very appreciative of what 92.3 FM, The Depot, is doing for us.
Well, with that in mind, we are in the process of developing a 1 to 2 hour show called Texas Sounds International, if that's all right with you.
Absolutely.
That we will be airing on Sunday mornings, and you're going to be hosting the show.
I am.
And is that a statement or a question?
No.
Yes, you are. It's not going to be me on Sunday morning. And that's going to be coming here in a few weeks. And the show's going to feature some of these performers, is it not?
It is.
Okay.
The majority of the music on the show will be Texas Sounds musicians. And the music will be stuff that you recognize. If not a particular song, at least the style. It's going to sound like East Texas because that's where these artists are aiming for.
We've been speaking with Preston Taylor, who, again, full disclosure, works for us here at 92.3 The Depot in our marketing and technological department, but also puts together Texas Sounds International. He will be producing a show that will air on Sunday mornings beginning at 8 o'clock and will expand from 1 to 2 hours. That is coming your way in the very near future. And I got to tell you, as the program manager here at the Depot, I'm very much looking forward to it and working with it. I think it's a fabulous event. It's an international event, and we're very proud to be part of that. As you well know, we have listeners all over the world.
Yes, we do.
And which is great because there's no other radio station in the world that sounds like this particular one. So I, on behalf of the Depot, please accept my thanks for allowing us to be part of it. And we hope we help you grow it a little bit and bring some exposure to the event because I think it's very worthwhile.
Thank you so much, Chip. And the exposure is beyond value to us, both in audience size and just in the enthusiasm that people will build for this. But once someone comes to the show, they come back every year. Thank you.
And again, it's coming up October 14th through the 17th.
Correct.
And you're going to hear a lot about it, I promise. Preston, I appreciate you, buddy. Thank you so much, and good luck with your event.
Thank you.
And thank you for being with us this morning. I'm the Fat Man, and this has been the debut edition of Depot Discussions.